So the main important points in chemical kinetics are, first one, when you see the factors affecting the chemical kinetics. So here, if you see the factors of rate of affecting the rate of reactions now. Factors affecting the rate. So concentration, this is studied in terms of law of mass action. Law of mass action. Temperature, this is given by Arrhenius equation. The effect of temperature is given by Arrhenius equation. Catalyst is given through energy of activation. And other factors which are there, nature of reacting substances, nature of reactants, and surface area. So now we are going to see these points. Means we are not studying one by one like this. We are going to see through Arrhenius equation, energy of activation, and then law of mass action. Means basically we are talking about the rate law. It comes in that way. So factors affecting, we are studying through these laws for us. So we'll be taking one by one. Let us take first of all effect of concentration in terms of rate law there now. Now when you see the rate law and law of mass action, two are there no. So law of mass action, rate law. Both are relating the rate of reaction and the concentration. But law of mass action is completely based upon, it is based on stoichiometry of the reaction. Based upon the stoichiometry of the reaction there now. When it comes to rate law, this completely depends upon the experimental data. This is based on experiment. So law of mass action comes from stoichiometry of reaction there. Rate law comes from the experiment. Means, for example, when you take, say, reaction like, say, X moles of A plus Y moles of B, giving rise to products. Law of mass action may say that rate is proportional to A to the power of X and B to the power of Y. Whereas rate law says that rate is equal to some rate constant K into, say, A to the power of M into, say, B to the power of N we have now. These coefficients here in these equations, which are there here, in this equation, they may or may not be the powers in the rate law for us now. They may or may not be equal to powers in the rate law. So coefficients may or may not be the powers in the rate law. They are experimentally determined. That makes the basic difference between the law of mass action and that rate law for us now. So rate law actually gives us the exact relation between the rate of reaction and the concentration of the reacting substances now. When it comes to one more term here, this M and N are there. No? The sum of the M and N, all of you know that. That is called order of reaction. So M plus N, the sum of the powers to which the concentration terms are raised is called the order of reaction there. No? That comes out to be order of reaction. Now here, suppose, say if at all M is taken in excess now. So if M is excess, means we mean to say not M, I mean to say here one of the component is in excess. You can't say power excess, no? So I'll change here now. Suppose the component A is in excess. Say component A. If A is in excess, then the order of reaction comes independent of the X, independent of the A for us now. then the order of reaction becomes equal to only n for us now. Similarly, suppose B is excess, the order becomes equal to only m there now. But don't think that when both are in excess, order becomes equal to 0. It's not like that. If one of them is taken in excess only, the order becomes independent of that which you are taking in excess and depends only upon the other one now. That implies that order of reaction can be changed. Depending upon the experimental conditions, you can change the order because order is basically coming from the experimental data only there. Then comes, can order be negative with respect to some reactants? Possibility is there. For example, the reaction like this you have, say 2O3 giving rise to 3O2. In this reaction, it has been found that rate is equal to rate constant K into O3 square and O2 to the power of -1 we have now. That implies order can be negative with respect to one of the components of the reaction also. It is found from the mechanism. If mechanism is given to us, we can find out the rate law. So rate law basically comes from the mechanism. It is supported by the chemical data also. I mean to say the kinetic data also. That way we can get the powers which are called the order of reactions there now. Then here, one more point here now. In catalytic decomposition, what happens is now only the molecules are absorbed on the surface of a catalyst there now. Something like say gold, platinum, etc., etc. Say some reaction happening in the presence of nickel like this. Say some reaction is given to us. H2 presence of nickel is given to us now. When you take higher pressures, what happens is now the hydrogen gets completely absorbed on the surface of nickel there. When you increase pressure further also, we cannot increase the concentration of hydrogen on the surface of that. So whatever may be the pressure, once you are crossing certain limit, what happens is now the rate becomes independent of the amount of hydrogen gas which you are taking there now. So normally what happens is the reactions which are happening upon the metal surfaces, means gases reactions on metal surface at high pressures, there are always going to be zero order reactions there now. Even when you take the photochemical reactions like H2 and Cl2 also, H2 and Cl2, say photochemical reaction there now. So in this case, the rate depends upon the photochemically excited molecules now. And photochemically excited molecules number, that basically depends upon the intensity of the radiation. Because higher the intensity means more the photons we can see now. When more the photons are used there now, automatically more molecules get excited. Thereby the rate of reaction gets increased. So we can say that photochemically excited reactions are also coming under zero order reactions. These two you have to remember. That is to say, gaseous reactions taking place on metal surfaces at higher pressures are going to be zero order reactions. Photochemically excited reactions are also coming under zero order reactions there. These two we can remember like this. But whereas when it comes to other reactions, no, there are some examples given in our NCERT textbook. Those examples we need to remember when it comes to order of reactions there. Negative order, please remember the O3 dissociation there. Order is negative with respect to oxygen there now. Negative with respect to oxygen we have now. Then here one more point is there. That is, say pseudo reactions are there. Pseudo first order reactions are there. How it comes to be like this one now. Suppose when you take a typical second order reaction, let us take rate is equal to, given as rate constant K into concentration of A to the power of 1 and that of say B to the power of 1 we have. It's a typical second order reaction because some of the powers are 1 plus 1 we have. Suppose throughout the reaction, say if concentration of B is constant, say if concentration of B is constant, Means we have taken in excess such a way that the concentration of B is remaining constant there now. When you have taken very much excess, suppose when you have taken a catalyst also, sometimes catalyst also comes in the rate expressions now. But catalyst concentration being constant, what happens is now it is not influencing that order of reaction there now. So their concentrations may come in the rate expression also now. So here, if suppose concentration of B is say constant there, because you have taken that in excess, then what is going to happen is the rate constant K into B. Now this part is again a constant for us now. This everything is a constant. Let us take it as K dash now. Then rate will be equal to K dash into concentration of A to the power of 1. Then we say K dash is pseudo first order rate constant. This is called now pseudo first order rate constant. Pseudo first order rate constant there means, so since the concentration is one of the reactants is having a constant concentration that comes into the rate constant there. Again, another constant we have. Such constants are called pseudo first order rate constant we have now. So basically a second order reaction, but that confirms itself into a first order reaction. Such type we can call them as pseudo first order reactions there. You can take the example of ester hydrolysis, sucrose hydrolysis. Their water is taken in excess there now. Therefore, they are coming under pseudo order reactions there now. Pseudo first order reactions there. One more thing is there. Suppose when you take a third order reaction like this, rate is equal to a true rate of reaction I am writing here, H plus into H2O into sucrose concentration now. So however, here in this case, what happens is the concentration of both the catalyst as well as water, they remain constant there now. They remain constant. So the reaction itself confirms to a first order reaction now. Such a reaction can be called as pseudo first order reaction again. So R is equal to some rate constant K here now and comes out to be sucrose here now. Sucrose concentration. So this can be called as pseudo first order reaction again. Pseudo first order reaction. Since one of them is taken in excess, the order is changing into first order in this case now. Now here one more point we can say. Pseudo unimolecular of course sometimes called even pseudo first order reactions also. How you are identifying them? Say if molecularity is say greater than or equal to 2, but say order is 1, that can be called pseudo unimolecular reaction or pseudo first order reaction you can call. So similarly, we have one more term is there, but frequently not used. Pseudo bimolecular. So here molecularity is greater than or equal to 3 now. But if order is 2, that is called pseudo bimolecular reaction there. This is how we define pseudo reactions now. Pseudo unimolecular, pseudo bimolecular reactions there now. Means molecularity is higher, but order is lesser. So molecularity is 3, order is 2. Molecularity 2, order is 1. They come like that now. Then now comes the first order, now comes the reactions. Directly we'll make a table then now for the rate constants and then graphs. Normally frequently they're asking us graphs. So graphs you have to remember. So graphs and then we are going to know the rate equations now. In one table, we'll learn all of them. Let us take like this. Yes. Mainly remember the four. Remaining all others you can understand there now. So I'm writing the form of a table, which you have to suppose remember. So order of reaction, then rate law we'll write here. Rate law. Then comes units of rate constant. Is the only we can avoid that units of rate constant. Later half-life. Only 3 columns I am writing here. Half-life. So let us have these three. Rate law. There again 2 rate laws are there. We can write differential form. We can write say integrated form. Both forms we can write. Suppose you have taken 0. So it should be like this. So minus dc by dt will be equal to rate constant K only, because it is independent of the initial concentration there now. When you are deriving the expression, no, we get like this. K is equal to A minus A minus X by T. This is how you are going to get upon integrated form. Or you can write, of course, as X by T also we can write here now. Zero order equation for us. When it comes to half-life, no, half-life is equal to A by 2K. Half-life of zero order reaction now. Then first order reaction. Remember these equations. Minus dc by dt rate will be equal to some rate constant K into, it will be A minus X whole power 1 will come then now. To the power of 1 comes. If you derive the expression, no, you are going to get like this. 2.303 by T log of A by A minus X. A is taken as initial concentration, A minus X as final concentration there. You can write A naught by A also, you can write capital A naught can be used for initial concentration. And you can write, similarly, you can write even R naught by R also, we can write R naught as initial concentration there. So sometimes in representations, they take it as A naught, initial concentration, A, initial concentration, R naught, initial concentration there now. So A as simply final concentration, or A minus X, sometimes they write like this. Also R we have now. These are all the common representations which are used while writing, while drawing the graphs and all those things. Then when it comes to half-life, T half is equal to 0.693 by K. It's a constant in this case we have now. Then the third one, so dc by dt, third equation we have. So minus dc by dt we have, which is equal to K into square will come here now. Whole square will come. And then this equation will be K is equal to 1 by T into X by A into A minus X. And then half-life for this one, half-life for this is equal to 1 by Ka. So here, what you have to see is, in the case of zero order reaction, half-life is proportional to A. Proportional to A. Here it is inversely proportional to A. It is independent of A in this case now. So directly proportional, and that is zero order reaction. Inverse, that is a first second order reaction. Independent, that is of a first order reaction we can see now. Of course, we have a general expression is there. For any nth order reaction also we can write general expression. So if possible, you can remember even that also. But these three you need to remember. when it comes to JEE mains, no, these three you have to remember now. So I'm writing even nth order reaction, and there are two important relations in first order also. Those two relations and nth order relations. Those three also we will write. So in that, for nth order reaction, what you have is relation comes like this. I'm erasing this one. Okay, right. Now, for nth order reaction, so Kt is equal to 1 by n minus 1 into 1 by a minus x whole power n minus 1 minus 1 by a power n minus 1. For nth order reaction, the rate expression K can be given like this one now. So where n is the order of reaction there now. We should not apply for first order reaction there because it turns out to be zero. It has no meaning in that. You can apply right from second order onwards. We can apply this expression there now. When it comes to say half-life for nth order reaction, which is equal to 1 by k into n minus 1, 1 by k into n minus 1 into 2 to the power of n minus 1 minus 1 by a power n minus 1. Have a general idea like this. Half-life for any reaction is proportional to 1 by a power n minus 1. This you have to remember. This is a must. Half-life proportional to 1 by a power n minus 1, where n is the order of reaction there, leaving remaining others now. 1 by a power n is the order of reaction. That we need to remember. And then in first order reaction, there are two other expressions to remember. They're also important to remember. That is, one expression is a minus x. That is the exponential form is important for us. Is equal to a into e to the power of minus kt we have. A minus x is what? Concentration left only. A is called initial concentration. Means when you're plotting the graph here, what happens is the concentration decreases exponentially in the case of first order reaction now. So A minus x here, the amount of concentration left here versus time t is decreasing exponentially with respect to time. That is a property of first order reaction. In first order, concentration of reactants will be decreasing exponentially with respect to time. There's a property of that. Now, the same thing we can modify that to get one more expression there now. Means I mean to say a minus x by a, like that. A minus x by a you can take, which is equal to e to the power of minus kt. So it will be 1 minus x by a. E to the power of minus kt you can write here. E to the power of minus kt. And finally, x by a you require. X by a is equal to 1 minus e to the power of minus kt you have. 1 minus e to the power of minus kt. This is important. This is also important expression because this term x by a is fraction reacted now. This is fraction reacted. Fraction reacted. Fraction reacted is x by a because x is the amount reacting, a is the initial amount. So amount reacting by initial amount, nothing but fraction only. Fraction reacted, you can say. How much is reacted is x by a. 1 minus e to the power of minus kt we have. And a minus x is equal to a into e to the power of minus kt. So these two are again two important relations in the first order kinetics. This one and this one. These two are important. So with this, we have learned the equations, or you can say first order, zero order, second order, rate equations we have seen now. Now comes Graphs, they are asking us which of the following graph is related to the first order kinetics graph, which of the following relates to second order kinetics graph, zero order kinetics graph. Graphs, they are asking many times. Let us try to understand the graphical representation of these three orders now. If you take the order of the reactions here, what normally they are asking these three graphs. One graph is rate versus concentration in various orders. Then what, Bharat? Yeah, we can get 99%, 90% with half-life per first order. Yes, we can get 10 times, 3 times you're going to get. You can compare and then we can do that also. Yeah, I will tell that also. So rate versus concentration graphs are there. Then half-life versus concentration graphs are there. And then the third one is integrated graphs are there now. Integrated equation graphs are there. Equation graphs. So these three we have to remember. These three representation one has to know. These three types of graphs one has to know clearly. So let us take one by one now. If it is say rate versus, first of all, let us take rate versus the concentration graph. The first graphs are very easy. Rate versus concentration graph means here, because rate is equal to some rate constant K will come, and then concentration A to the power of X will come here, where you say X is the order of reaction there. Order of reaction. X is the order of reaction. So when you take zero order reaction, suppose when you're starting a zero order reaction there. So graph 1, zero order reaction, rate is equal to K into, it is A to the power of 0 then now. Power of 0 you are getting, independent of initial concentration then now. So whatever concentration you take, the rate cannot be changed. Means the graph is coming like this. Rate and say concentration here now. Concentration of reacting substances here now. Rate is going to be constant there. Rate will not change irrespective of the time. Rate remains constant there now. When you take the first order reaction, when you are writing rate is equal to rate constant K into say A to the power of 1 then now, to the power 1. So Y is equal to mx graph, we can understand this one. Y is equal to, the graph is going to be m into x then now. So the straight line Y is equal to mx, which is passing through the origin here. You are taking the concentration A here and say here rate of reaction. A straight line that is passing through origin. Then you take say order 2 now. The square has to come then now. So rate is equal to K into A square graph here. K into A square graph. So there are two graphs we can plot for this. From here onwards, we can draw more than one graph for rate and concentration. Suppose you are say plotting rate versus directly say A square now. If it is rate and A square, graph will be straight line only now. It will be Y is equal to mx graph only again now. If it is a square now, m is going to be K and x is going to be A square for us now. We get this line. And suppose you are plotting graph say for rate and then only concentration now. Only concentration now. Not A square, only A. Then you are going to get a parabola. It comes like this now. Y is equal to x square graph we are going to get. Y is equal to x square graph. Similarly, when you are going to say third degree, I mean to say third order reaction also. When you take A cube, we get again straight line. Only A means the line again comes very close to this axis now. Means when you're cubing the term, it comes too close. Means the line comes like this one. If it is say for third order reaction there now. And so on and so forth we have. That is regarding the rate of reaction and the concentration of the reacting substances we have now. rate versus concentration of reacting substances now. Then when you take the half-life versus initial concentration of reacting substances now, half-life with initial concentrations of reacting substances. Now, for that we require general relation between half-life and concentration. So we have seen that half-life is proportional to 1 by a power n minus 1. This can be taken as general relation to plot the graph between half-life and initial concentration there. Half-life and initial concentration. And exactly if you want, you have to take again the order of reactions there now. Say for example, you are plotting say for zero order reaction now. Zero order reaction means here K is equal to, rate constant K is equal to A minus X by T. When you say half-life here now, then what happens is now K is equal to A by 2 T half you are going to get now. That implies if you are plotting graph between say half-life, say T half is equal to now, it is going to be A by 2 K then now. So half-life versus initial concentration. In general, you can take T half proportional to 1 by A power n minus 1 also we can take there. If you take like this, a zero order reaction, say for zero order reaction, if you keep here, if you write here, say n is equal to 0, zero order reaction, directly proportional to A you are getting. But in this case, you are also getting the constant also there, 1 by 2K you are going to get here. Means Y is equal to, now here, M is there, that is 1 by 2K. 1 by 2K into A you are getting now. 1 by 2K into A. So Y is equal to MX graph only now. In this case, Y is equal to MX graph only, straight line. So Y here, half-life here, concentration A here now. And then we get a straight line whose slope is equal to 1 by 2K. 1 by 2K is a slope for that one. 1 by 2K we are going to get as a slope for this. Now suppose you are plotting a graph, say for first order kinetics graph now. In first order kinetics, what we get, n is equal to 1 now. In this expression here, we should keep n as 1. Here if it all say n is equal to 1, then a power 0 is coming there now. So it's independent then now. In such a case, the graph comes like this. T half and initial concentration A now. So now T half is found to be completely independent of the initial concentration of the reacting substances there now. So therefore, you are going to get a straight line there. Half-life doesn't change. It's not changing with respect to time there now. It always remains constant there. With respect to initial concentration, it always same. Whatever concentration you take, always the 50% amount reacting will not change. It always remains constant there now. Suppose you are plotting say graph say for now say second order reaction there now. Second order reaction. So there again two graphs are there for second order reaction there. One graph is because for second order reaction, what happens is this is for first order, okay? This is first order. This is zero order. Now when you take second order reaction, basically we know formula is like this. T half is equal to 1 by Ka. 1 by Ka we have now. Suppose the graph is drawn say between T half and say 1 by A. If it's say with 1 by A, then what is going to happen is you are going to get straight line only now. If it is say 1 by A then now. Because Y is equal to again MX graph you are going to get, where M is equal to 1 by K then now. So Y is equal to MX here. Y is equal to MX, where M is equal to 1 by K and X is equal to 1 by A, should be a straight line then now. Suppose you are plotting the graph say like this, say half-life here and say here only A then now. A. Then what happens is you can remember is just recollect like this. When you are plotting the graph between, yes, hyperbola, it's true. See, we know the gas laws. We know gas laws, no? We are, suppose volume is inversely proportional to pressure now. V and P are inverse to each other there now. So V and P are inverse to each other now. Now similar type of graph, T half and A are inversely proportional to each other there now. So in P and V graph, we are getting like this. PV graph now. Because these two are inverse to each other there. Here also now, T half is inverse to A now we have. Because 1 by A is coming. So therefore, here also are getting a similar type of graph there. So therefore here, so in this case, what happens is, now you can compare now. So second order graphs, you are getting two graphs. You can draw T half versus A, you can draw, or T half versus 1 by A also you can draw there now. But general relation, remember, T half is inversely proportional to 1 by A power, proportional to 1 by A power n minus 1. From this, you can get the relation to draw the graphs there now. Then finally, the graphs which you are plotting for integrated rate equation graphs now. There also we have two graphs or second order reaction will be coming there now. For integrated forms also, we can plot the graphs. Let us see those graphs now. So integrated form graphs. Now, integrated graphs, integrated rate equation graphs. If you take zero order graph here, zero order graph there now. So we know that K is equal to A minus X by T we have now. This implies KT is equal to A minus X. Now let us bring A minus X here is equal to minus KT plus A. Minus KT plus A means this is a Y for us. M, X, and then C. Means you are going to get a straight line now. So Y is equal to MX plus C. You are taking here A minus X here now. A minus X here. Y is equal to MX plus C graph. So here you are taking A minus X there now. And then T versus T graph now. Negative slope. So slope is going to be minus K and intercept is going to be A here. So here A minus X means you can take it as A also. A actually stands for amount present at a given point, not A naught, it is A there now. Remember, it is only A, not graph X also. X is means amount reacting is X there now. A amount left. A minus X also amount left for us now. This for zero order kinetics we have now. If it is say first order kinetics, for first order reaction, the graph which you are going to get will be log of, in the terms of log you are going to get. I think that is familiar to us. So directly we can take that expression there now. That is KT, because we know that K is equal to 2.303 by T into log of A by A minus X. Therefore here it is KT by 2.303 is equal to log of A minus log A minus X. So now graph is between log A minus X and T here also now. So log A minus X is equal to minus K by 303 into T plus log A we have now. From this only this comes now. Means the Y here and then here T we have now. So for first order kinetics here, the graph is coming like this. That is a slope is negative here. Negative slope you are getting. So line is coming in this way. But the graph is drawn between, the graph is for log A minus X. Log A minus X here and T. So remember here, it is only A minus X for zero order kinetics and T. is log a minus x nt. So both are having negative slopes only. So remember that negative slope in the case of here is only a minus x versus t there now. Then it's coming out to be log a minus x and then t graph we have now. So these two are equations for zero and first order kinetics we have. And lastly, we have second order kinetics also. We have a graph for integrated rate forms here now. So for that, equation comes like this. For second order graph, no, 1 by a minus x will come there now, because their formula is kt is equal to 1 by a minus x minus 1 by a. So we plot the graph for 1 by a minus x there now. That is 1 by a minus x is equal to kt plus 1 by a. Here slope is positive value. We are plotting the graph for 1 by a minus x there now. 1 by a minus x graph we are plotting there. So the graph comes like this, 1 by a minus x, no? So it is 1 by a minus x here now. And then t, slope is positive slope. Intercept is 1 by a we have now. So these are the graphs which they are going to ask in JEE mains type of questions here now. Right, so graphs we have done. The next point. When it comes to MC theory, that is a molecular collision reaction theory, you know, one point is important there in the molecular collision theory of reaction rates. So in MCT, that is a MCT, I'm writing here, molecular reaction rate. Just remember these points here. K is equal to Z into F into P. These terms you have to remember, where Z is called collision frequency proportional to RMS velocity proportional to root T we have now. So collision frequency means number of collisions made by the molecules per unit volume per unit time. That is called collision frequency. Mainly depends upon RMS velocity only. Of course, velocity means root of T we have now. When it comes to F now, the term F is actually a fraction of the molecules which have energy to cross the barrier, you can say now. So F is you can say it's given by Boltzmann factor also. Boltzmann factor. F is actually, you can say, Boltzmann factor, which uses fraction of molecules. Fraction of molecules having energy equal to EA or more than EA, we can say now. Energy equal to EA, or you can say more than EA. Means which can cross the energy barrier, we can say now. And then the P, it comes out to be orientation factor. Orientation factor. So the rate constant K is depending upon all the three factors there now. Suppose, to understand this term, I'm telling like this. Suppose there are 100 collisions taking place. 100 collisions are taking place there now. I mean to say frequency is 100 we have now. Say if 10% can cross the energy barrier, so 10% of 100 then now. So 10% of 100 we have now, or crossing energy barrier. And say if another 10% are properly oriented, that's also important. Orientation is also important for us. So 10% are properly oriented and 10% have energy to cross the energy barrier. So another 10% have proper orientation. That implies what is happening is finally only one molecule comes out as a reaction there now. Only one is coming out as a reaction there. So out of 100 collisions are happening, but only one is coming out as the reaction there. That is the importance of molecular collision theory of the reaction rates there now. And then one more point here regarding Arrhenius equation we have. One point regarding Arrhenius equation, that is the Arrhenius equation is given by K is equal to the frequency factor A e to the power of minus EA by RT. Arrhenius equation, which actually gives rise to relation between the variation between the rate, reaction rate we can say, and the temperature we have. Reaction rate and temperature. When we're talking about say logarithmic form, no, it comes out like this. That is to say, log K is equal to minus EA by R, say into 1 by T, 1 by T. Let me take natural logarithm here. So I'm writing here ln only. Ln here. 1 by T plus log A now. Now here, suppose the reaction is having more EA and less EA. The comparison is important for us. Two reactions are there. So the slope is equal to, actually in the reaction, no, slope is equal to, slope became equal to EA by R. Slope is equal to EA by R we got now. So when you say reaction is having more slope, let us say like this. More slope, I mean to say higher EA value. High EA value. You take other one as less slope value now. Let like this one now. So less EA value now. Less EA value, high EA value there now. If you see these two now, the rate of reaction means log K here, and 1 by T here now. If you are seeing the variation of the rate of reaction, variation of the K with respect to temperature here, if you are observing the mathematical equation, when the reaction is having higher EA, we can see more increase of rate also now. Very steep slope. See, slope is very steep now. Means higher EA, we can see the more increase of log K for a small increase of temperature there now. Means you can say here now, this temperature 1 by T value here now. Take this 1 by T value here now. Small temperature range you have now. We can see high steep rise is there now. If you take same temperature range now here, we can see a less increase. See in this case now, this much you have, here you have now. Only small increase is there in the case of less EA value now. So if EA is higher, what is happening is, we can say that reaction of higher EA is said to be more temperature sensitive. When you are using the word more temperature sensitive means it is responding to temperature very much highly. Means slight increase of temperature will be changing its rate to many more number of times. That is said to be highly sensitive towards temperature. So which is more sensitive means which is having higher EA, that is going to be more sensitive in nature. That is called temperature sensitivity, we can say now. That is regarding one point related to the Arrhenius equation we have. And at two different temperatures also we know that expression. That is to say, taking logarithmic form, that's while solving problems, you are going to use like this. So ln, or you can say log of K2 by K1, which is equal to delta H by 303 R into T2 minus T1 by T1, T2. So two different temperatures, rate constant K with the relation with that of the value of delta H we have now, delta H of the reaction. At two different temperatures, rate constant K, the relation between these two. Then one more is there. That is the temperature coefficient we have. One more relation, temperature coefficient. For every 10 degrees rise of temperature, no, rate almost all doubles now. That is to say, K at 35 degrees Celsius by K at 25 degrees Celsius. Between these two, we can sometimes the value comes out to be 2 or sometimes 3. It is represented as mu. So mu is called temperature coefficient there now. And if you want the ratio of the rates at two different temperatures means K at T2 by K at T1 can be taken as mu to the power of delta T by T. Means how many tens have been increased we require. Suppose T is changing, say from, say T1 is 30 and say T2 is 50 then now. There are two tens in this case now. two tens are there now. So delta T by 10 comes out to be 2. So mu to the power of 2, 2 to the power of 2 changes by 4 times then. And that way we can understand how many times the rate of reaction increases from the temperature coefficient there now. Then one more reaction, one more formula is there, catalyzed path and uncatalyzed path. There also one more formula is there now. Catalyzed path and uncatalyzed path we have. There the formula comes like this, catalyzed and uncatalyzed path here now. That is to say, when you take reaction coordinate, you can say now, two paths here, like this one, and coming over like this one now. This is going to be uncatalyzed path. Uncatalyzed path. This is going to be catalyzed path we have. Catalyzed path. Assume difference is x here now between these two. Difference of energy of activation is x for us now. So K catalyzed path by K uncatalyzed path will become equal to e to the power of x by RT, where x is equal to difference of those two, catalyzed path minus uncatalyzed path. Means x you can take it as energy of activation of uncatalyzed path minus energy of activation, say catalyzed path we have now. Catalyzed path. This is the value of means relation between rate constant in the presence of catalyst, in the absence of the catalyst, we can say now. Sometimes they may say that rates are equal with and without catalyst at different temperatures. Then we should use like this. Energy of activation, say E dash I'm writing here. Say uncatalyzed path here now. Uncatalyzed path by temperature. Normally it is going to be higher temperature, this value, okay? I'm putting a high temperature there now. High temperature will be equal to, if at all rates are equal, apply this relation. E of A catalyzed path by it is going to be less temperature than less temperature. So these are the formulas you have. Then there are some standard equations given to us. There are some standard equations are there which we need to follow. That's to say, dissociation of, say, or else hydrolysis of ester, decomposition of H2O2, N2O dissociation, sucrose hydrolysis. There are some standard formulas are there. We can just remember as such directly those formulas now. But try to understand what is a V naught, what is a V, all those things. Just I'll explain one point there now in these relations. Suppose you have taken H2O2 reaction. H2O2 reaction is there, giving rise to H2O and O2. If you are studying this reaction kinetically, say by titration of potassium permanganate here now. In all reaction, actually what we require is reaction constant K is equal to 2.303 by T into, it is log of A by A minus X, whatever reaction it may be now. These two terms you require now. What is the initial concentration of the reactant and what is the final concentration of the reactant after time T now? Somehow these two we need to get in the various reactions now. Suppose we are talking about, say, H2O2 titration now. Initially, how much amount of permanganate is required? Means you are titrating H2O2 using permanganate now. We have H2O2 here now. We are adding here permanganate there now. So we require initial concentration of H2O2 and we require final concentration of H2O2 after a time T now. So because potassium permanganate reacts only with the H2O2, we can finally take the volume of permanganate as directly proportional to amount of H2O2 present at a given point of time. So initially means at time t is equal to 0, we have to find out the volume of potassium permanganate. That can be taken as nothing but initial concentration of H2O2 itself now. So volume of permanganate used directly proportional to H2O2 present. H2O2 present. This can be used while solving problem with H2O2 and potassium permanganate there now. So they are going to give us volume here that can be used here now. So initial volume will be V naught there, and after certain period of time t, Vt we can write now. So it comes out to be 2.303 by t into log of say V naught by Vt will be for the formula for H2O2 reaction there. Suppose say the reaction is between dissociation of say N2O5 to N2O4 in oxygen gas. So in this case, you should understand again there are different type of reactions there. Here we are trying to study the reaction with respect to reactants only in this case now. We are finding out the concentration of reactants periodically. From that, we are going to find out the rate constant K of first order now. In some cases, which is not possible to find out the concentration of reactants periodically, then we depend upon the concentration of the products periodically then now. So periodically, we are going to find out the concentration of the products, and from the concentration of the products, we are going to get the reactants concentration. In that way, we are going to find out the rate constant K for first order kinetics now. Under that example, which we have is dissociation of N2O5 is given. Say N2O5, we dissociate, suppose you are going to get say N2O4 plus half O2 now. Here we study the reaction in terms of oxygen gas. So remember here, the amount of oxygen gas evolved is always proportional to amount of N2O5 reacting there now. That implies initially amount of oxygen will not be there. So I can say that Vt, V naught will be 0. The volume of oxygen gas initially means at a given point of time, when time t is equal to 0 there now, there cannot be any volume of oxygen gas evolving now. But at a time t is equal to t, definitely some volume of oxygen gas evolves. But that volume of oxygen gas is nothing but proportional to amount of N2O5 reacting there now. So volume of O2 is proportional to amount of N2O5 reacting. Amount of N2O5 reacting there. Reacting can be taken as X always now. So Vt can be taken as X then now. Vt can be taken as X. Volume of oxygen time T is taken as X now. Then we require value of A. Value of A means what? Initial concentration. So at the end of the reaction, the volume of the oxygen given, that can be taken as initial amount of N2O5, because you are measuring N2O5 in terms of oxygen gas. So at the end of the reaction, nothing but complete N2O5 has been dissociated. That gives us a measure of N2O5 for us now. So therefore, we take V infinity as A value. That way we got the value of A and value of X we got, and therefore you can find out the K value for this one now. Now in some reactions, we have pressures now. We have some pressures given to us. In such a case, what we have to do again, something like A, say plus B, giving rise to C. Suppose all of them are gases only now. Here also observe one point always. We require the initial pressure of one of the reactant or one of the component there now. Suppose not like they are asking different type of reactions here. Now let us take a reaction coming like this. Say initial gas A giving rise to gas B, then gas C now. Remember, always coefficients need not be 1, 1 and 1. In some reactions, they can be 1, 2 and 2, or is 2, 1 and 1, whatever it may be. What actually you require? We require initial pressure of A and then pressure of A after certain period of time T. Mathematically, somehow we need to get those two values now. So therefore, they are going to give us initial pressure P, means at time t is equal to 0. They'll give initial pressure P for us now. Sometime time t is equal to T. They may give only pressure of A, or they may give pressure of complete system also there. So P2 I am writing, where system pressure means complete mixture pressure is given to us. And say time t is equal to infinity, they may give the complete again pressure now. So P infinity is given to us. Using these two values, mathematically we can get the initial pressure of A and then pressure of A after a period of time t now. That can be understood. That we can do as and when a problem arises, that we can do now. And then finally, there are two relations to remember. So those things we are not going to do in detail now. Sucrose hydrolysis and then ester also hydrolysis. We have these two hydrolysis reactions now. So there, just remember the formula. So that can be used directly. So in the case of sucrose hydrolysis, they are measuring in terms of the temperature, measuring in terms of the polarimeter reading there. So there the formula comes out to be 2.303 by T into log of R naught minus R infinity by it is RT minus R infinity. Say where R naught is the reading of the polarimeter at time t is equal to 0, where RT is the reading of polarimeter at time t is equal to T, or you can say rotation at time 0, at time t, at time infinity, we can say now. It's coming under sucrose hydrolysis there now. Sucrose hydrolysis we have. So like this, we have some specific reactions are given to us. So basing on that also, we have some certain problems are there. Okay. But when you're seeing that the JEE main syllabus, the recent syllabus which they are given us now, the JEE main syllabus, they have not mentioned the radioactivity. But actually, they may give questions based on radioactivity because radioactivity basically follows first order kinetics only. So as per that area is concerned, we have to remember that is a first order kinetics is followed by radioactivity. No, that area questions may be asked, though they have not mentioned in the recent syllabus of JEE. NATA has not mentioned the syllabus of radioactivity in the chemical kinetics there. No, but since the both are following same first order, no, that type of questions they may ask us. That area you need to remember. Just follow the first order formulas only. The same thing we can solve here. Yeah, in physics also, yes, we have the radioactivity there. Both are there now. Okay. One formula I am writing here. 1, 2, 3. Three formulas I'll write here in radioactivity. Just remember them now. Activity A is equal to lambda into N. A is called activity. Something like reactivity. That way it's called activity here now. Activity. It will be in DPS. What, Bharat? No, Bharat, for first order in the gas phase also, it will be same only. No difference. But what is happening is in the gas phase reactions now, all reactions are not of similar nature. So 1 mole need not give always 2 moles of products or 3 moles of products there. So depending upon the problem, we can solve. We cannot have a general reaction there. In the book, they gave some general formula they gave us now. But general formula cannot be applied here. So it goes, deviations are there for that. So what we do is, whenever a problem comes, remember like this, we require initial pressure of the reactant and final pressure of the reactant after a certain period of time. Those two values you have to get somehow mathematically from the given data. That's all. Then you can get the reaction. Then you get the value of K. Yeah, true. In terms of pressure only, Bharat. In terms of pressure also, formula should be same only. Formula cannot be different. This is a decay constant, number of atoms. Number of atoms here. Activity DPS will come. Further 1 CI, 1 Curie, 3.7, 10 power 10 DPS. 1 Rutherford, 10 power 6 DPS. 1 Becquerel, 1 DPS. SI unit. So standard is Standard is 1 gram of Ra. Radium activity is standard for us now. This is standard. 1 gram of radium activity is standard for us, and this value is found to be 3.7 10 power 10. This is standard. Then N is equal to number of atoms left is equal to N naught by 2 to the power of N. When N is the number of half-lives. Number of half-lives. Number of half-lives, T by T half. Then T average is equal to 1 by lambda. Also equal to T half by 0.693. Also equal to 1.443 T half. Okay, let us see at least a few questions. Radioactivity, anything else it comes in between, I will explain there. Calculation of alpha particles, calculation of beta particles, those things in between also we can see. Any other point comes, we'll see in details there now. And parallel reactions, consecutive reactions, they will not be in JEE mains. They will be coming only in the advanced portion, but not in the mains portion there now. Parallel reactions, consecutive reactions. So formulas are there that we can see afterwards while studying the, yeah. Those two are not there. Okay, now let us see, let us solve few problems. What is this? What? Bharat, can you just show the formulas? You mean to say I should write all formula ones, huh? It will take time no, to write once again all formula. Yeah, tomorrow I'll give them now. Let us, because only we have another 15 minutes left off. So tomorrow I'll give the list of the formulas once. Okay, right. The graph drawn between x of the product, x of the product and time of the reaction A to B is of type 1. Hence, the graph drawn between minus dA by dt and time of the same type is. Here, they are given, this is in the question part, they gave us, this is a graph now. Graph between x, concentration of x, there is a product, and time t. They got a straight line graph passing through the origin. It shows that concentration is increasing linearly with respect to time. What is a which type of reaction have such type of relation where the concentration of reactant, sorry, product will be increasing linearly now? That you have to see now. Okay. Now, when you see the amount of product with respect to reactant, which is increasing linearly now, that type of relation now. It implies, suppose you have like this, say A giving rise something like B. If you have here A minus X, it should be X here now. We are plotting a graph between amount of X produced at time T. Amount of X produced at time T now. And we are supposed to get a straight line graph now. Yes, Bharat, it is correct only. Should get a straight line graph now. So X versus time T straight line graph is only for zero order kinetics we have. That is because if you are seeing X with time T graph, say because K is equal to A minus of A minus X by T, anyhow it is X by T only here now. X by T we have now. So we can take KT is equal to X. X is the amount reacting as well as amount producing also. Because in a reaction, when you say in A giving rise to B, if you say that X is reacting here. X also produces there now. With respect to time, both will be same for us now. Okay, so therefore, X versus time t. So X versus time t is going to be straight line graph then now, passing through the origin. Y is equal to mx type of graph you have. So for that type of graph, what is the graph between minus dA by dt versus time t now? So dA by dt versus time t means, what is dA by dt actually called? Nothing but rate only. Rate at which A reacts is called rate now. So rate versus time graph for a zero order reaction now. Rate versus time graph for a zero order reaction. Then for a zero order reaction, rate is always independent of concentration. For zero order, rate is independent of concentration now. So therefore, for that, it should come like this only. Should be a straight line then now. The rate should not change with respect to time for a zero order reaction. It's completely independent of that. So therefore, let us check the answer now. So this is the answer then now. The rate should not change with respect to time there now. Sorry. Next one. 80% first order reaction completes in 70 minutes. How much it will take for 90% completion? Actually, the direct reaction only. So it's only depends upon calculation part only. So you can actually skip also. Because 80%, 70 minutes, 90%, how much time it takes now? Very easy. 80%, 70 minutes. 70 minutes. 90%, how much time? So K is equal to 80%. So 2.303 by T, 70 minutes. 80% means starting with 100, 80% reacts means 20% remains now. Also equal to 303 by time T, log of now 90% now. 100 by 10 then now. Because for both now, K value remains same. K value remains the same for both of them now. So 2 and this to get cancelled here. So log 5 value we know. Log 10 is 1. So therefore log 5 is 0.699 by 70 is equal to 10. Log 10 is 1. So 1 by T. So T is equal to. So we got T is equal to 70 by 0.699, nothing but 100 we got. So T is 100. Then next one. Which curve represents zero order reaction? This is a direct question only, no? Zero order reaction graph. Concentration versus time T. A is, remember, is nothing but these values, no? When you say A means concentration of A or as A minus X are same only. So A minus X versus, yeah, correct answer. Answer is yes, Sagar, correct. So it is a C option. Option is C. Because it is A minus X versus, no? That is A minus X is equal to minus KT plus A. Y is equal to MX plus C. So therefore, you get negative slope. So C is correct answer there. Next one. Okay, now I'll explain this one. This is basing upon the amount of product formed. How do you find out the reaction? Some standard reactions are there, we told, no? So in that way it comes. Half-life of decomposition of N2O5 is of first order reaction represented by so and so. After 15 minutes, volume of O2 produces 9 ml. At the end of the reaction, 35 ml. What is the rate constant now? What is the rate constant? So in this reaction, we are trying to find out the rate constant in terms of amount of product formed now. Amount of product formed. So after 15 minutes, volume of oxygen produces 9 ml. This is given as 9 ml. 9 ml. So here the 9 ml is actually coming from N2O5 only. 9 is means oxygen gas is coming from the dissociation, decomposition of N2O5 only. So here it depends upon how much amount of N2O5 dissociated. Now dissociated means we take it as always X. See in the terms, you have to understand one point. A is initial concentration. Initial concentration. X is amount reacting. Amount reacting. A minus X is amount left. Amount left. Now here N2O5 dissociates to form oxygen gas. Therefore, this is equal to X for us now. X after 15 minutes. Now at the end of the reaction, we got 35 ml. At the end of the reaction means complete N2O5 decomposed. So this 35 can be taken as initial amount we can take as A we can take now. Because whatever N2O5 you have, everything is coming out as oxygen now. So oxygen is kind of a measure of N2O5 total initial value. So 35 is taken as A and then X is taken as 9. Time is how much? 15 minutes now. So therefore K is equal to so 2.303. Of course, they are given log to base here, so 2 point will not be there. So 1 by T. T is 9 ml there. Sorry, not 9 ml, 15 minutes there. Into log of A by A minus X. A by A minus X. So A is 35. And A minus X is 35 minus 9 will come. 35 minus 9. Therefore, answer is option A. Option is answer A then. Right. Next one. Oh, become blue, huh? Fine. For a chemical reaction 2x plus y giving rise to Z, the rate of appearance of Z is so and so. Rate of disappearance of X is how much? Very simple thing. Rate of appearance, disappearance, the basic concept we have now, that one. So what's the answer? Option C, yeah? Correct. Yes, Sagar, correct answer. Easy, I think. You need not go for explanation part for this. Yeah, so we'll go to next one then. For a reaction A plus B giving rise to C plus D, doubling the concentration of both reactants increase the rate by 8 times. Doubling both, changing by 8 times. Then doubling the initial concentration of only B doubles the rate of reaction, rate law. So for such type of reactions, for such type of problems, we write generally like this first. So they gave us A plus B as a reactants there now. So A plus B giving rise to products there now. So rate is equal to rate constant K into some A to the power of X and B power Y is a basic thing which we have now. When they are doubling both the reactants, rate changed by 8 times means 8 R new rate is equal to doubling both means 2A to the power of X, 2B to the power of Y now, which is equal to, I can write K into A power X, B power Y, 2 power X plus 5. Equation 2 we have now. Equation 1 we have now. Then doubling only B, rate doubled. So 2R is equal to K into A power X, doubling only B, 2B to the power of Y now. Implies K into A power X, B power Y, 2 power Y is equal to equation 3 now. So if you are dividing, say, equation 2 by 1, So 2 divided by 1 implies. So 8 is equal to 2 to the power of x plus y. That implies x plus y is equal to 3. Then we divide 3 by 1 then. 3 by 1 gives rise to 3 by 1 means 2. 2 is equal to 2 to the power of y means y is equal to 1. Y is equal to 1, x plus y is equal to 3. Therefore, x is equal to 2. So x is equal to 2 and then, so therefore, x is equal to 2 and then we got y is equal to 1. So answer is option D. D, huh? Answer is option D. Yeah, option D is correct. X is equal to 2 and y is equal to 1 we got. Option D. Okay, right.